Welcome to the Vault Excel. Thank you for joining me. Hope you all are having a wonderful weekend. Please check my community board for updated stories, breaking news, polls. Hello, it is what it is. Hard trying to get it all in, honey, because there's so many stories and so many updates. So it's just hard trying to get it all out because I'm still behind on some stories that were intended weeks ago. But thank you for tuning in and watching. I had some free time tonight, so I wanted to try to get this story out since it is the latest in the queue. Maddie Mogen, allegedly, because we do not know, we weren't there, but this is from Zana Kernoldle'S family. Information they got from the medical examiner that she was attacked first, Maddie Mogen. So was she the target? Zana Kernoldle'S family has finally decided to speak to the news publicly about what they have learned and their assertions of the crime that fateful morning. During this live stream, I'm going to play you a snippet of their interview in the upcoming CBS documentary, and I believe it will air next Wednesday, so please check your local listings for that said documentary on CBS. And I'm also going to play you a snippet of the documentary. Also, during this live stream, I will discuss other scenarios just to give a little flow of keep the continuity going in case there's not a lot of engagement pertaining to this subject matter. And I'm also going to play you my latest upload in the queue pertaining to Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrandt. I did not go live on that video as to cut my time down in making content, but I will play it after I bring you the information pertaining to the Idaho 4. Thank you for joining me. Hello, Terry. Hello, Dime Dozen. Well, strangers in here. Hello. I talked to you all in a while. Hello, Sparkling Bubbles. Let's chop this news up because many people have speculated on who they thought the target was, who fought the hardest. But as it has been said by medical examiners and forensic experts, just because one person has more wounds than another victim, it does not mean that he or she was the intended target. Because naturally, if you are fighting for your life, you will have substantial wounds because you're trying to preserve your life. So know that. I don't know who the intended target is. It is also going to be mentioned that Kohlberger was on IG. They believe they have information to an account that he had and that he liked some of Maddie's posts. So was she the target or not? Was it another girl or all of the young ladies? In the end, it really doesn't matter because he killed them and he killed their friend, Ethan. And when you're talking about a dead person, it really doesn't matter. Because in the end, he had no business there, and he had no business breaking into the home, and he had no business murdering these children. And that's just the bottom line. You're also going to hear in this live stream that these family members believe that Mr. Kohlberger had been in the house a day before. Now, this is jaw-dropping information. Was he in the house the day before? And they're going to tell you why they believe that he had been. That was already asserted many moons ago that he had been in the house at some point. And then you have to ask yourself that. If you want to believe that, how is it that nobody saw him? Did he go in the house? Or as we call it, a dry run? Did Kohlberger make a dry run of the house? If so, when did he do it? The fact that data shows he's been over at that address so many times before November 13th, that's what he was doing. He was watching the house. Now, did he go in? That's a whole nother subject. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie, 129 Cash App, stickers to chat to welcome during the live stream. You are now listening to the Vault Excel. CBS News is the source. 48 hours is the content that you're listening to. Thank you all for your time.
explores details of the night of the Idaho student murders. Correspondent Peter Van Sant spoke with two of the victims' families, one speaking out for the very first time and one providing new details about their daughter's fight for her life.
It's been a long and painful journey for the families of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogen, Zana Kernoldle'S, and Ethan Chapin, the four University of Idaho students who were stabbed to death in the pre-dawn hours of November 13th, 2022. Do you ever dream of your sister?
Yeah, I've had some dreams of her. Just gives me some peace knowing that I know she's okay.
Zana Kernoldle'S sister Jasmine and father Jeffrey are speaking out for the first time since Zana's murder.
It just happened, you know? What do? You can't do a damn thing.
Everybody's going to work and you look out the window and there's kids running down the street laughing and you're just like, how can you be out there playing? My daughter's dead.
On the night of the murders, Christy and Steve Gonzalez's daughter Kaylee was in the same bed as her childhood friend, Maddie Mogen. The Gonzalez's say coroner Kathy Mabbitt told them before a gag order, the killer attacked Maddie first, then moved on to Kaylee.
There's evidence to show that she awakened and tried to get out of that situation.
They say she cried out, and her wounds show she fought for her life.
The way the bed was set up is what
She was trapped.
She was trapped.
Zana also fought back. According to her father, she had severe defensive wounds. She went down fighting.
I believe so. It's upsetting to think about.
She was always a very strong person.
A judge has entered a plea of not guilty on Brian Koberger's behalf, but he is not the person the families want us to remember.
He's not important other than what he did and being held accountable. I'll be here to keep reminding people who these victims are.
So Peter is joining us now, and you mentioned it in this piece, but a reminder to everyone that there's a gag order in place. This case got a lot of attention initially. We haven't seen it in the media that much because really, people can't talk. Authorities can't talk, but the families can.
Right, the families can, and what the Gonzalez family, who lost their daughter Kaylee, what they do is they share with us facts from their own investigation. They hired their own investigator, but also facts that the coroner and a lead investigator in the case gave them before the gag order was in place. So we have some new information in the course of this show that is fascinating.
I know you don't want to talk about everything you learned, but what's something that sort of jumped out at you?
Big thing is that based on all that they have learned, the Gonzalez family is convinced that Brian Koberger, the suspect in these four killings, entered that house on King Road in Moscow, Idaho, on a day prior to the murders. Why did they think that? Because the coroner told them that they believed that the two girls on the third floor were the first ones attacked and killed. How did he know to go to the third floor? And they also have, the family believes they have found a connection to an Instagram account that they downloaded at the time when Koberger's name first came out. And based on their investigation, there's a lot of controversy about this because we haven't been able to get verification from any authority on this. But they believe that there is a link that Brian Koberger had liked some pictures of Maddie Mogen, the girl who was in the bed with Kaylee, best friends. They've been sleeping together since they were little girls.
Right.
And that creates a link. The defense has said there is no link, but the Gonzalez family believes they found it.
It would explain a lot of the questions that people had about, where did he come from? Because it really did seem like there's no way they could possibly sort of cross paths. You do have some good news, though.
Yes, there is some good news for the family. Olivia, who is Kaylee's older sister, recently gave birth to a new baby girl in Los Angeles named Theodora Maddie K. The Maddie K is for the two best friends who were murdered that day. And the family looks at the circumstances of this birth as a sign. Olivia looked out, and she lives in West LA, and she saw a rainbow for the first time while she was in labor. The room she was in was 1113. That's the date of the murder. And the time that the baby was born was 4:21 a.m. And authorities believe that's when the murders were occurring.
Whoa.
And so they think, the family believes, this is a sign from the two girls saying, we're okay.
Whoa, you're giving me chills, Peter. That's incredible. I was lucky enough to get a little bit of sneak peek this episode episode. It's really good, really
So
moving.
powerful.
The families are amazing. Peter Van Sant, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Peter Van Sant, everybody, 48 hours. Please check out the content next Wednesday. That's when it will be airing on CBS. Let's dissect what was said during this brief clip. Both of the girls were sleeping in the bed together, as they did as children. They had to make sure to put that in there so people won't assume the worst of the young ladies. Maddie fought. Gonzalez says the daughter was trapped. The way the bed was positioned, they didn't describe how the bed was positioned. This takes me back to the beginning of the story when he kept saying things didn't add up, the wounds didn't add up, and I kept saying, what is he talking about? What is he talking about? And this is why I don't like people to talk open-endedly, because this makes people assume different things. If you have something to say about a subject matter, please be thorough in your conversation, because you don't want to put something out that's open-ended and people just start assuming whatever from what you're saying. So maybe this is what Mr. Gonzalez had been trying to tell us all along, that it wasn't Kaylee, because people were talking and gossiping and posting things and making videos and so on and so forth, that she was the targeted one. I don't know if it's because people thought maybe she was the prettier one, the more outgoing one. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. But was it Maddie? The link allegedly is an IG page. The defense says no link. I think what the state would mean by link means knowing of the person, talking to a person. Well, let me rephrase that. The defense would say he didn't know them, they didn't know. They didn't know him, he didn't know that. He didn't know the girls. But to some people, a link is a link, whether you knew each other or not. And really, IG, Facebook, TikTok, it's really not a link to me per se, because it's public information if your profile is public. So anybody can just scroll through TikTok, Facebook, look at your post if you have a public profile, and like a meme or a comment. That's not knowing you. It's not really a link to me. But possibly this is a link that led him to stalk the girls. Let's just say that. But he didn't know them. As far as passing them by, he could have. 15 minutes away in another state. It's not very far away. So he could have passed the girls at school, went over to the campus, hung out, do his dirty deeds, which is stalking. He could have easily seen the girls at the university, pass them at a coffee house or restaurant. That's not unlikely, because we pass people every day in life and we don't know them. And we're also not stalking them either. But 15 minutes away, you can easily bypass a lot of people in 15 minutes. And naturally, neighboring states, people travel to and fro, because we're talking about college students. So they could have easily went over to Washington to do things, shop, spend the day. They could have easily crossed over Kohlberger's path, because as I said, it's not unlikely. Now, this lady, she mentions this, but let's be truthful. 15 minutes, that's nothing. The day before, family believes, don't know how many of the family members believe this, because Ethan's family, they never speak on the crime itself. They always just talk about Ethan, but they never speak of the crime. You have Zana's sister and father speaking here, going into the house, Mr. Kohlberger, because the two girls on top, Kaylee and Maddie, how would he know this? Well, let's think about that for just a second. Kohlberger didn't actually have to go into the house to know that the girls stayed on the top floor, because one of them has a letter M in the window, which would have been Maddie. I found you on IG. I found your house. I'm stalking the house. Don't know where he was going to stalk, either the back of the house, the front of the house. But I won't doubt he did a whole 360 of the house. It wouldn't take a rocket science to put two and two together. You're posting videos from the house, pictures from the house. Once again, how hard would it be to put it together? You can stand at the end of the street and see the house, especially have a bullseye view of a house when there are no leaves on the trees. There's places I've seen and I knew what city it was in, and I've never even been to the city. That's from always watching TV, reading. Everybody knows what the Sears Tower looked like in Chicago, which is now the Willis Tower. You've never been to Chicago, but you know that building. It's iconic. Same thing with Brooklyn Bridge, San Francisco Bridge. I don't have to go there to know that it's there. You see where I'm going? So when you're posting things to social media, you can be found just from a landmark. Zoom in on a street. Stay woke. The town is small. Wouldn't take long to find that house because the town is small. Smaller the town, easier to find the landmark. You're posting photographs, videos from the landmark. Would not be hard to find. You're using your government name on the post. First and foremost, all I have to do now is Google your name. And now I have your address. So I won't doubt he didn't have to go look around at anything. Didn't have to drive by the campus streets. Your government name gave it away. Pay that little fee to one of those apps, and now I know your address, your previous addresses, people that are related to you. I'm a sicko, wacko. What's a couple dollars to help me stalk my prey? And I won't doubt that's what Kohlberger did. I was looking at a photograph, I believe it was earlier, of him sitting next to Miss Annie, his attorney. It's just this look he had on his face. So sinister and scary. And I've said this before. How in the hell does she sit next to this man? Which we know this is her job because she's a defense attorney. But still, this man has butchered 4 people. And you're sitting right beside him, a blonde-haired female. And he obviously doesn't like women. And he murdered 2 blondes and a brunette. You got a lot of gumption to sit next to Kohlberger, ma'am. Because we know if it was dark 30 and you were alone walking, you wouldn't stand a chance with Mr. Kohlberger. Was Maddie the intended target? As I said before, if the room was dark and he entered the room, he wouldn't know who was whom in a dark room. Let's just be honest. And if he had been watching the house, he would only assume that a girl would be in a room by herself. So imagine walking into the room, you're looking for your prey, and you find 2 in the bed. He probably was really pissed off because, as I said, many people jumped the gun when they first heard 2 of the girls were in the bed together. But girls have always slept in beds together. That's nothing new and nothing nefarious or suspect. But when you have the mind of Kohlberger, that probably really set him off. What is she doing in here? Before he even realized which one was which. Do you understand what I'm saying? Has he been in the house to know which one slept in which room? As I said, I do not know. These are the assertions from the family that were speaking in this video. He may have been. I don't know. But it would be brazen to try to go in there during daylight savings time with traffic, people walking by, coming in and out. The kids had a lot of friends and associates coming in. Be too obvious, too risque. Now, could he have snuck in during dark 30 while the girls slept and they didn't lock the doors? I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that at all. But I think he watched the house. He watched her posts. He gave himself a general idea of who was staying where in the house, because the girls, were coming in and out. He probably used deduction of who stayed where. He had them known that there were more than one girl staying in the house. You looking at the cars. He's probably sat there and watched them come in and out, getting in and out of the cars. He had a general idea of who stayed in that house, but he didn't care. And that's the scary part of the story, is that he did not care. And he did not care about being caught. And possibly he thought, well, I can tackle all these females if worse comes to worse, because I've got the big knife. They don't have that. He has a God complex. And sadly, he won because he killed 4 people. 2 are alive. How and why? I do not know. And there was a guy there who obviously didn't win either. And that's even more baffling because Ethan was a big guy. But sadly, he didn't win the fight. Has Mr. Kohlberger been inside of the house before November 13th? And if he entered the house, when did he go in? What time of day was it? And how many times had he been inside of the house? Or did he just watch from the street or parked his car in that back parking lot of that other neighboring apartment complex and peered and possibly went and walked around there late to get a bullseye view of the girls' habitat? Because let's be truthful, at some point, you're not going to be able to just sit at the curb or sit at the end of the driveway or stand at the end of the driveway. You're going to have to possibly walk up closer to get a better view of who stayed in which room. And I won't doubt that he did that. I would assume that he has. He has done that. Let's hear the next commentary pertaining to this case. Once again, 48 Hours airing Wednesday. Check your local listings for the time, airing on CBS. The night of the Idaho student murders, sneak peek. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Terry says she believes that he was. Okay.
Crimes in American history. There's still sort of a darkness whenever you talk to people who will be ever part of the university's history and the town's history.
There are 4 very, very important names in this case. Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogen, Zana Kernoldle'S, and Ethan Chapin. And if you're going to remember any names from this case, I ask that it be all 4. My name is Olivia Gonzalez, and Kaylee was my little sister. Everybody's going to work, and you look out the window, and there's kids running down the street laughing, and you're just like, how can you be out there playing? My daughter's dead. Kaylee Gonzalez is gone. Stop everything. Everybody in the whole world stop. And everything just keeps going.
My sister, Zana Kernoldle'S, is one of the happiest, funniest people I've ever met. And I had the awesome privilege of growing up with her, and I still have the hard time coming to terms with the facts that it did happen.
Brian Kohlberger is accused of stabbing these 4 University of Idaho students in the pre-dawn hours on November 13th, 2022. The murder weapon, which was a knife, has never been found. This is a type of survival knife. Brian Kohlberger did not make his own plea. The judge entered a plea for him of not guilty.
Maximum penalties, life in prison, or the death penalty.
Due to the nature of the crimes, the state of Idaho is seeking the death penalty.
He was there to kill.
He came in with a kit. I believe he had a kill kit.
And you believe that everything right down to the implement of destruction, this large marine knife, that was all planned?
All planned.
A kill kit. Why does Mr. Gonzalez believe he had a kill kit in his possession? Did Mr. Kohlberger have a kill kit? You also hear the wife saying everything should have stopped when her daughter died. Why are the children playing? Yes, life continues. And some people will say that's a cruel thing to say, because I've heard someone mention that before, that had lost a child. And some people were offended by that because they were like, well, why would your child be deemed more special than any other victim? Because in the end, to the perpetrator, they didn't have any value. Of course, your child has value to you because that's your child. But it's cruel to say that because nobody deserves to be murdered for no reason, just butchered, stalked and butchered. So some people might take offense to that, Ms. Gonzalez. But did Kohlberger have a kill kit? Where is the knife? Hasn't been retrieved. Where is the knife? Did he keep it, hide it? What? Was it retrieved in his belongings? Pennsylvania? Never heard that it was. Where is the knife?
The implement of destruction, this large marine knife, that was all planned?
All planned.
It's inhumane. You wouldn't do these type of things to any living creature, let alone an innocent human being.
The star piece of evidence in the prosecution's case is the DNA that was found on the knife sheath that was left at the crime scene. But there's so much other evidence that's also pointing towards nobody else that we're aware of. How was Brian Kohlberger's car spotted leaving the scene? Why was his cell phone seen there 12 times, including the morning after the offense?
Prosecution would like everyone to believe that it's an open and shut case. But I think the facts they have make the case more open than open and shut. According to the defense, there is no connection whatsoever between Brian Kohlberger and the victims. And if there is no connection, then there is no motive. And if there is no...
Let me stop here. Well, I don't think that way, sir. Maybe you're a defense attorney and that's how you're programmed to think. There is a connection. All the things that was just named by this young lady. 12 times you're at this location, but yet you don't know anybody in Moscow, Idaho. You don't have friends there. You don't have family there. So what are you doing there? The judge entering a not guilty plea because you wouldn't even say it off your own tongue, but yet you say you're not guilty, but you can't say it in court. Why not? DNA on the sheath. Why would your DNA be on the sheath? The case that holds the knife, if one, once again, you don't know the girls, you're not friends with them, you don't know any of their friends. Data. Your car being seen in the area. So you don't even know who else has actually seen the car with their own eyes. We're not talking about just CCTV footage, but somebody's actual eyes. Yes, I've seen this car sitting here on occasion. See, you don't know because we don't have all the information and the evidence the state has. I won't doubt that there's an actual living creature who has seen the car there on that street, turning about. And yes, driving around. That's his new defense. But you have no reason to be over there. But like I said, 15 minutes away, you're entitled to go wherever you want. Even if you're pulled over by police, sitting in a park, sitting at the river, that is your right to go where you want to go. Big facts. You want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go sit at the park? You have that right. You want to drive 15 minutes away and go sit at a park, a river, a lake? You have that right. But if your car, your person has been seen near a crime scene at an ungodly hour, and someone makes it out either by CCTV footage or by eye view, then yes, you now have to explain what you were doing there. So you see, it doesn't add up, sir. Liking these people pages, and then they're all dead. Possibly using fake profiles. Will they bring that information to court? That he used fake aliases, accounts on IG and other platforms to stalk the victims. You're going to have to explain that. Now, what explanation would you have for that? Using different aliases to like pictures on an IG page or a Facebook page or TikTok videos. Stay woke now.
And the victims. And if there is no connection, then there is no motive. And if there is no motive, then it becomes very hard to make the case that he is the killer.
You do not need a motive if you are sick and deranged, sir. Come on, sir. Stop the nonsense. I don't have to know you to kill you. He doesn't know them allegedly, but yet they're dead. To this date, there is no proof that any of these children hung around this man or any of their associates hung around this man. So that doesn't make any sense what you're saying. If I can't connect it, then there's no motive. Nah, that's not true. You obviously don't know true crime. There never has to be a motive for murder. That's an assumption. That's what we as lay people say. Why? But what have I told you all in most of my live streams about true crime? Don't ask why. Ask why not. That's what the devil says. Why not kill them? Why not stalk them? Why not bind them, torture, kill? Because I can. That's why. Wrongdoing is because I felt like it. I don't need a reason. I don't need a motive. I don't have to know the victim. Hell no, they ain't done nothing to me because I don't give two fucks about them. I don't need a motive to kill you. I don't need a motive to not like you. Stay woke, everybody. This man is speaking nonsense. He knows damn well you don't need a motive to murder. You don't have to know the victim to murder them. Many people are murdered every day and they have no connection to the perpetrator. He or she did it at will because they could. Checkmate.
And this is a graduate student, not a trained assassin.
It's more so about putting these pieces together because I know what the puzzle looks like at the end. I have the box in front of me, but I'm missing so many pieces. How did all of these pieces fall to create what I'm living in right now? Where did this come from?
48 Hours is the source. Check your local listings next week for the documentary. This man is talking gibberish. No connection. He doesn't know them. No motive. As I said, he obviously doesn't know true crime. You don't need a motive. He didn't need a motive. He did it because he could. Whatever sick fantasies he had in his head, playing out in his head, ideologies about these women, one of the females, that was all on Kohlberger. Had nothing to do with the victims. It's never about the victims. They were just pawns in the game. Because in the end, if it wasn't the four, it was going to be somebody else. That's what you have to understand about a sadistic mind. Whether they stalked the person or they chose them at will, it was going to be somebody. And that's what Miss Gonzalez needs to understand. She wanted the world to stop because her child was murdered, but it doesn't work that way. Because as I said, the killer chose the victims for whatever reason. It doesn't have to make sense. He didn't have to know them. He did it because he could. If it wasn't the three girls and Mr. Ethan, it was going to be somebody else's child. How would it have been fair to the people down the street or somebody over there at the campus at Washington University? How would it be fair to them? That's why you don't say things like that. Why my child? Why not your child? Who was your child to not get murdered? Die of a natural disease or car wreck? It's all the same. Because you're supposed to go before your children. That is the notion. But it doesn't work out like that. And nobody wants to have to bury their child of natural causes, an accident, or murder. But it happens. And it happened to your child. I think about the fact that one of the girl's sisters was at Washington University with Mr. Korberger attending school. And I said months ago, way many moons ago, I won't doubt that Korberger knew that. Now, how scary is that? That one of the sisters of the victims attended Washington University while he was attending the school. And while he was out lurking about in the night, looking for prey, one of the victim's sisters was right there at the university alongside Mr. Korberger. Can't get any worse. And who's to say he wasn't stalking that sister? Very scary. And I'm sure that sister thought about that. Oh my goodness, I go to school with this thing. I go to school with this monster that's killed my sister. So we don't know if he stalked other females, staff at Washington University. So we have no idea. But I'm assuming that all data has been gathered from his phones, computers, and they will bring forth that information if indeed there were other young ladies that BK was stalking, liking pictures and so on and so forth. And yes, sometimes circumstantial evidence is all you have in a case. He was careful, so he thought. And as this man is saying, he wasn't a trained assassin. Sir, please stop it. You're making light of a very dire situation. 4 people are dead. They're not coming back. You don't have to be a trained assassin to kill somebody. People go out on shooting sprees every day. Shoot up a classroom, shoot up a school, shoot up a restaurant, shoot up a job, and they've never had target practice, let's say. All you do is aim and shoot, pull the trigger. So that's disrespectful to even say that when 4 kids were butchered to death. He's not a trained assassin. Well, he's in jail. How about that? How did he get there? I don't think he's there by happenstance. Oh, they have the wrong guy. So far, everything's looking towards Mr. Korberger. Latent footprint, won't doubt it's the same size of shoe that he wears. Car in the area, data linking him to the victims through profiles, public profiles. And so you don't even know what he has on his phone, his computers, sir, because the state hasn't enlightened us with those goodies. I won't doubt that he has pictures downloaded of the girls, had downloaded pictures of the girls, the house, may have actually been in the house taking pictures, may have some mementos of the girls. Maybe there's some things that were missing from the house. You think he didn't take something out of the house? Who goes through all that trouble and not take a trophy? Come on now. This guy obviously hasn't done his homework. Now, I don't know who the hell he is giving his commentary to 48 hours, but think before speaking. I won't doubt that he took something out of that house belonging to each victim. Why not? Got to have something of the victims to show I was, to show I had been in the room. Now, why he killed the other kids, Zana and Ethan, I don't know. Was somebody coming out of the room and saw him? He was caught off guard, didn't get to make an easy exit. They took off running. He chased them into the room. I don't know. But what's all strange besides going to the 3rd floor, killing the two on the 2nd floor, you didn't touch the girls on the 1st floor. And many people do have a problem with that. And it's not to say that they deserve death, but it is odd, to say the least. Make it make sense. Because if you've watched the house, as I just said earlier, then you knew girls stayed on either floor. Because if you're watching the house, you're going to see lights flipping on and off at night. People walking by the window. on either floor. Stay woke, everybody. Oh, there's somebody in that room. Oh, there's somebody in that room. Oh, there's somebody in that room. And then you can get the layout of the house through the Google search, which I think now it's not on the Google search because of all this craziness that transpired with this case. But at one point you could Google the house and it would give you the layout of the house. You didn't have to actually go in the house to see how it was laid out. And as I said, if he was watching the house, he would have surmised that a girl lived in all these different rooms in the house. You have different cars there, different tags. Ding, ding, ding. That means you have different people living in the house. I don't need to go in the house to know 4 or 5 girls live here. They got a lot of company. Somebody's got a boyfriend. Somebody's got a dog. Somebody goes to work at this time. Somebody's getting off at this time. Somebody goes to school around the corner. Stay woke now. How hard would it be? It would not be. You see, you can learn a lot by watching your neighbors, friends. Because I had suspected that it was a neighbor that killed the girls because they lived in close proximity to so many units, houses. And who better to kill you than somebody that could get in and out without being seen? So I thought it was somebody in one of the apartment complexes next to the home, across the street. Because they were near a lot of people and windows. But then we find out it's some random bloke 15 minutes away in a neighboring state. So that's where this crazy older man is speaking from. They didn't know him. He didn't know them. State's got to prove this, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, if I'm out stalking people, it doesn't matter where the victim lives. 15 minutes away, 30 minutes away. And it's known when people are hunting people that sometimes it's best you hunt prey out of your jurisdiction as not to be apprehended. But Kohlberger wasn't lucky in that department. 15-minute drive, he was still seen. Because we live in a digital age of surveillance, doorbell cameras, people walking about, people going about. And it's just rare that you're not going to be seen. We also have cameras on utility poles, traffic lights, also facial recognition. So it's kind of hard to be out here and not be seen somewhere, coming and going. And yes, riding around 12 times to this location ain't gonna cut it. Car seen leaving the area after the murders allegedly took place ain't gonna cut it. Got a ticket first time you set on soil in Moscow, Idaho at night. Why? Because you were stalking them then. So that leads me to believe, and I've said this before, that possibly he came to Washington State to stalk the girls. Because who's to say he hadn't found them on IG before applying to school in Washington? And that would be even more horrific, that he was stalking from all the way across the country. Because he had to have started as soon as he got to the school, if he landed in Washington in the summer. He got a ticket, I believe, in August of last year. That's why I always tell you to pay attention to the details. Did he go specifically to that school to stalk those girls? He applied wherever he could get into because he had already found his target months or a year beforehand. See, there are a lot of questions. And that's why we heard content back in the winter that he possibly been stalking the girls for a year. That came from somewhere. All the little tidbits of tea we got from News Nation was obviously the family members speaking to the news, giving them the tea pertaining to information they got from detectives and the medical examiner. And if they said possibly he was stalking the girls for a year, you have to ask yourself the obvious. If he stalked them for a year, he wasn't living on the Pacific Northwest. He was living in Pennsylvania. That's why I made that comment early on. Did he move to the Pacific Northwest to stalk and kill his intended victim? And who was the intended victim? And that's something most people can't even fathom in their head. Someone stalking a person for a whole year or more. Don't know them, never seen them, but have become fascinated with them. But it happens. And it's just like I've told you about looking at a dress, a coat in the store window, as they used to do back when I was a child growing up in Chicago. They have the mannequins in the window with the nice clothes. Probably some stores probably still do have, displays in the window. But I remember Christmas time, the mannequins would move, the little sleds and snow. All that comes back to my mind. And I think about that with Kohlberger. You can only stand and look in the window for so long. You're going to get tired of standing in the window. You're going to want to go in, try the coat on. Try the dress on. See how it fits. See how it looks. And that's what happened with Kohlberger. He got tired of looking through the window. Got tired of looking at the IG pages, TikTok videos. I got to get in. I got to touch the victim. I got to get close to the victim. I got to kill the victim. And that's what you have with a sadist. Peeping Tom, rapists, they watch first. They watch first. Now, are some impulsive and just attack on the first opportunity they get? Of course. But some sadists are watchers. And they watch the prey, wherever she or he may be. And then they make their move. And I do believe that's what happened here with Kohlberger and the Idaho 4. He watched them from social media, and then he made his move. How many months he watched them, I do not know. But I won't doubt that it was longer than a few months. And as I said, what will be even more disturbing is if we find out he was stalking the girls or a girl, whichsoever, whomever, before he even set on Washington soil. That he stalked the victims from the state of Pennsylvania and deliberately applied to school in order to be near the victims, and then to kill them. And as you heard Mr. Gonsalves and the wife say, they do believe he went there to murder the children. That was his plan. That's why he took his own knife. He didn't use any type of weapon or tool from the house. And this is my message to young people, because young people are more impulsive. Young people do not think clearly. Young people live for the moment. You cannot live for the moment. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You cannot talk about everything that you're doing on social media. You cannot announce to the world everything you're doing with your finances, where you're going, what you bought, showing things in the house, because it's that little bit of tea. It's ammunition for somebody that's not well. When you take pictures of being at Starbucks, McDonald's, and then you say, oh, I just live around the corner. How long do you think it would take for somebody to go sit at the Starbucks, the McDonald's, to find you? And then follow you home. You mentioned where you work. They go to your job. And they wait on you. And then they follow you home. Or you foolish to tell where you actually live. Now they know where you stay. And they lie in wait. You see, it's those little things that have gotten a lot of people hurt and killed. What you think is innocent fun is ammunition for a sick mind. He didn't have to do much work, Mr. Korberger. Whether he lived in Pennsylvania stalking him or Washington State, it doesn't really matter. He got a hold of them. That's the point. And he was brazen to walk up in their house and kill them. He didn't catch them at the campus. He didn't catch them at a restaurant. He didn't catch them coming out the movie, a picture show, or a restaurant, or a Hobby Lobby. He went to the house. And it takes a certain type of mindset to brazenly walk up in someone's house on their private property, enter their home, and murder them. You're talking about a different breed. This is not a case of carjacking someone, robbing somebody at the ATM. You're talking about walking into somebody's damn house, not knowing what is on the other side of the door, and not even give a damn. That's scary as hell. And he did it in the night when he knew the defenses of the ladies would be down. When you slumber. A coward's way. Bigger, taller, heavier, with a weapon in the night. And when he knew that the girls possibly had been out drinking, they couldn't hold a candle to this thing. And sadly, they had a guy there who also couldn't hold a candle to Mr. Korberger. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to make sure your doors and windows are locked. Even when the weather is nice and you want to raise the window up at night, you have to remember to close the window. It's easy to have the window up, fall asleep in the daytime, nighttime, take a nap. But that is what a sadist is looking for, that opportunity. Because a lot of crimes are just a quick opportunity to take advantage of a person. Running to the garbage can just to empty the trash, you don't lock the door. Go outside to check the mail, you don't lock the door. Stay woke. Run to your car, you don't lock the door. Knowing you have a door that needs to be repaired, you don't get it fixed. You don't lock the damn door. Now you've given a sadist a free opportunity to violate you. We also heard that, but one of the girls having a problem with one of the locks on their doors. Do not know what that is about. And how sad is it to later find out they were brutally murdered in their own house. Where are the other two young ladies? How do they feel now, many months later? Their friends are gone. What are they doing? Are they still attending the university online or in person? What are their plans for the future? And are they now careful of their blueprint? What they say, what they do, how they talk, how they navigate. Because after this experience, you should be very careful of who you fool with, how you talk, and who you deal with. Because in the end, you don't know people. And yes, many people are murdered by people that they know of or who they have met or crossed paths with. But in this world, you don't know how you're going to leave here. And I would suspect these girls would be fearful of the company they keep and how they navigate. Because you don't know people. And allegedly, these girls did not know Korberger. Mr. Ethan did not know Korberger. Korberger did not know them. He did not hang with any of their friends or associates. So he had no business at that address 12 times in that house to kill them point blank. I want to thank you all for joining me. I have a lot of content to put out because there are so many stories at the moment. And I'm trying to play catch up. But I want to thank you all for following the content of this network, liking and sharing. Please share my content. Take the polls on my community board. I will put up a poll pertaining to Maddie and the young ladies who was the intended victim. As I said earlier during this live stream, I did an upload ad so I could cut my time in getting my content out. And before I check out of here, I want to play an 8-minute video that is now in the YouTube queue for you to watch. This is pertaining to Ruby Frankie. She was a vlogger who has now been accused of child abuse alongside her partner, co-conspirator, Jody Hildebrandt. I also believe Mr. Kevin Frankie is also a guilty participant in the neglect of his children. By the grace of God, the children are alive, but they are now in the state's care. Will Mr. Kevin Frankie get custody of his said children, or will the children remain in the state's care? Will they also get a chance to go live with another family member deemed fit to raise them? I do believe these two were having an affair, a relationship. I won't doubt that these two women are actually gay or bisexual. And this is my assertion pertaining to Ruby and Jody. I will now play you that content of my earlier upload. Thank you for joining me.
Welcome to the Body Exhale. I want you all to think about something for just a second. When you have another party participating in the abuse of a child or another person, one would have to ask himself or herself, why, number one, would that person participate in the abuse of a child? It's not your child. Wrong if you did it against your own child. But just imagine a person helping another person abuse, torture, kidnap another human being, a child. Why would you do that? Ruby Frankie was staying at a home belonging to Jody Hildebrandt. And both have been charged with 6 counts each for abuse of a child. So what you have to ask yourself is, number one, why was Ruby there with her children at this woman's home? Number two, why is this woman helping Ruby abuse a child or children? The obvious reason. There's something going on between the two. Because when you look back in history with most cases of abuse, children, and another party is abusing the child, that person usually has a personal relationship with the parent. Whether it was a babysitter, a family member, friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, they had a personal relationship. I do believe Ruby and Jody were romantically involved. Because as I always tell you with a story, use deduction. Why was she at that lady's house? Why was she with her, have her children there? The husband had no knowledge that she was there with the children. Couldn't figure out why they were there. And naturally, he wouldn't know anything because he hadn't talked to her in nearly a year, which is outrageous to me. But it hit me like a ton of bricks. These two had something going on, and I figured that out anyway in my own perception of these ladies. It's more than a manager, friendship, courtship, friendly courtship. These two were romantically involved. Because number one, she's at this lady's house. Her house is out in the middle of nowhere. We have allegations from neighbors who were calling 911 that the children were left unattended. So that means what? At this house or their original house? See, there's a pattern. Ruby's been running around doing God knows what with this woman and whomever else, leaving her children unattended while the other two were going to school, even more jacked up. And how would somebody know that your children are unattended unless your children are running about or the children were coming over asking for food, water? So did the children ever leave the house, their original house, to ask neighbors for food, help? Because you have to ask yourself, how would neighbors know the children were left alone and the other older children went to school? And why were the younger children left alone and not attend school? So something very sinister pertaining to this case of Ruby, Frankie, and Jody Hildebrandt. And the fact that this lady was staying with Jody, her children staying there, abused, malnourished. This was a personal relationship between two women, not business, not a podcast, not a YouTube channel. It was more than that. These two were dating each other. And I believe we're going to find out down the road that they were. So we have to ask ourselves, what will the children tell us? Tell the public, tell detectives what was really going on in their lives with their mother and her relationships with other people, including this lady, Jody. Because we've gotten a glimpse from her own nieces that she was abusive to them. And I do believe she possibly felt like they had gay and or bisexual tendencies from their commentary that I brought you earlier this week. And maybe she has self-hate because she's either gay or bisexual herself, Jody Hildebrandt. These two were dating. Because it makes no sense for a woman, man, to go live with somebody else, stay with somebody else, take their children, and then allow them as a friend to abuse their kids. I haven't heard of any stories of friends allowing their friends to beat their kids, hurt their kids, starve their friends. Starve their children, torture their children, bind their children. It's usually a courtship, a kinship, a kindred spirit of sorts. They were dating. Now, how long was Ruby there with her children at this compound? I do not know, but I'm sure we will get more information pertaining to how long she was there, if she was leaving with this woman, going on trips in other places, leaving the children unattended. The truth will come out. And as I said before, Kevin, Frankie, needs to be brought up on charges as well, because he abandoned his family, abandoned his children when they needed him the most. And he has to stand account for that. Now, he wanted to be an absentee parent. That will be on him. But he has to bear some responsibility. To put it all off on the wife and Jody is...
Whoops, sorry about that. Blanked out there. Hold on, you guys. Well, I don't know why it stopped for some reason. Hold on. I'm going to go back in. Hello, Lisa. How are you? I was playing it from my own personal video where I filmed it, but I should have played it from the channel because for some reason it stopped. Very strange. One second, you guys. Try to get it back to where I had it. Well, so far I got 4 comments on this video. I'm getting the same vibe. Jody's hand on her leg in a video made me feel it. Happy Hippie says, I agree, Queen. Like you said before, kick out the husband so they can be together. And it's strange how they were both abusers. Do you think they will turn against each other? Sure they will. It's called preservation. One second. Let me go to the end of that video. Hold on, you guys.
He has to stand account for that. Now, he wants to be an absentee parent. That will be on him. But he has to bear some responsibility. To put it all off on the wife and Jody is...
I don't know why is it stopping. It's strange. Well, it stops at 7:15. Why? I don't know. That's very weird. Man. Well, none of you said that it had stopped. This is weird because I'm now on the YouTube channel and it stops. This is strange. Well, you get the gist of the video. I don't know why it stopped. It's very great. Technology sucks. Well,
Technology
okay.
sucks.
That's me talking. That's my assertion pertaining to Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrandt. I do believe they were in a sexual relationship, some type of relationship. And that was the purpose of their union. Maybe in the beginning, they met one another, they vibed, but I think one thing led to another. Hippie behave now. One thing led to another, because as I said before, when you look at stories of children being abused by outsiders besides their parents, it's usually somebody that the parent was dating, somebody they were married to, or somebody that they were dating. You just rarely have random strangers abusing children without the parent having knowledge. It's BS. They lived together. They were staying in the house. I do not know how long she stayed with Jody, but that's how it looks. She was dating this lady, staying at her house. She had her children there, and she allowed this lady to abuse her children alongside herself. That's the one common denominator they had. They're both abusers. You have content coming from her own nieces that have spoken out that she was, when they stayed with her, she abused them. Then you also have to ask yourself, what were those children doing in her custody? Why did she have these kids? Where were their parents? So there's a lot more to this story than just the obvious. A child escaping with his ankles duct taped, malnourished. The sister was also in a similar condition. 2 other children put into state's care alongside those 2 children. Now we have allegations coming from Jody's family members that she abused them. There's way more to this story. And this, to me, as I said, is a repeat of Lori Vallow Daybell and Chad Daybell. The only difference is we don't have any dead children. But we have the Mormon church involved. We have sick ideologies from sick people who 9 times out of 10 people thought were great people, but they're not. Because as I've always told you, you don't know people. And we have relatives who also said she was sinister. Ruby. Finally, it's over. We're glad. She doesn't even speak to her older child. Why not? Sherry. What happened with Sherry and Ruby? Ruby, what happened with you and Sherry? What happened with you and your damn husband? How about that? Are you a gay or bisexual lady? Were you having an affair with Jody Hildebrandt, Miss Ruby Frankie? And why would you be beating your kids or allowing someone to beat your children, tying your children up, starving your fucking kids, lady? I don't give a damn what they do to you in jail. They can beat you to sleep. It would not bother me in the least. But I want you to suffer in there. And I want your eyes open, half-ass closed, so you can know pain, what you inflicted on your damn kids. And every day I want you to lie in that jail and I want you to ask God, why me? And he's going to tell you, why not you? You chose this. Because you could have been out here living a decent life with or without your damn husband. Many women do every damn day. You had no right to be abusing your damn kids. They didn't ask to be here, and they didn't choose you and Kevin for no jacked up ass parents. You're a fraud. You're a damn fraud. And I do believe you could not wait to be with this woman. That's why you haven't talked to your husband. But he's a fool. Because if I wanted to be with my wife and my kids, I would have been there. Jody and Ruby would have kept me from being with my family. So he's a coward. And the fact he wants to sit here and talk about he's a victim, his lawyer saying he's a victim, he is not a victim because he had free will. The children, they didn't have an option. Kevin, Frankie, you had free will. You wanted to make it work with your wife, you should have done that. You wanted to divorce her, you should have done that. You wanted to get custody of your kids, you should have done that. Stop acting like a whiny ass bitch because this ain't going. Those kids deserve more than what you gave them. And that's what was wrong with Ruby. She wants attention. That's why she was going live, making them damn videos, painting that damn red lipstick on like a damn clown. She's a clown. I peeped her game just from the past videos I've watched this week. She was an attention seeker. She was looking for something. She was lonely in her life with her engineering professor husband. She's like a lot of people. She's searching for something. She had a void in her life and she wasn't getting it with the life she had. And that other thing, Jody, she's just as lonely. Two lonely vessels met, kind of like Lori and Chad. They become evenly meshed in nefarious deeds, and then the rest is history. It's the same BS. Because this is what happens when there is evil. It has tentacles. It latches out. And it grabs whatever is in its path. That is what has happened to these children. They were with lonely vessels. There's no telling how long this marriage was suffering. And the children were the pawns. And then she met that thing, Jody. And Jody was already jacked up. So we got two jacked up people together and everybody else is a pawn in the game. And by the grace of God, those kids didn't die from being damn near starved to death. This is bad. This is horrendous. I found another story that's equally as disturbing. I will do a separate video on that. I may come back in a few minutes and do the live, or I may do it tomorrow. But it is a child's story coming out of Florida, and it is horrendous. I don't know what the hell is going on out here with these people and these children, but it's out of control. And I'm going to say this to the person who spoke to the news pertaining to those children in Florida. That damn half-baked video, that news interview you gave to the news saying, how did this lady word it? A lifestyle. Everybody don't live the same lifestyle. Well, let me say this to you, you dizzy ass broad. Neglecting children is not a lifestyle. Living in a filthy ass house is not a lifestyle. That's a choice. And the children, such as this case here with Ruby and Jody and Kevin, they didn't choose their parents. And no child chooses to live in a filthy ass house. No child chooses to go to school with dirty ass clothes and roaches coming out their damn backpack. So miss me with Everybody don't live the same lifestyle. Oh, I didn't notice anything. Oh, you didn't notice that the grass needed cutting? You didn't notice that maybe the house needed a paint job? See, I pay attention to every damn thing. And that's just a quick clip I saw from the damn news video. You don't have to know what's going on in their damn house. But the news said the children were dirty for a while. And the house is deplorable, Miss Neighbor. Roaches in the refrigerator. Roaches in the house. The rooms were nasty and dirty and caked up. The bathroom, deplorable. You can see where they've used the restroom and never cleaned the toilet. Do I need to continue, ma'am? Since you say everybody don't live the same lifestyle. That's why you didn't want to go on camera. The camera panned down to your legs and not your face. Because you know you were too stupid enough to show your damn face. And frankly, you should not have given that interview. I didn't see anything. Well, you know now that the children were living in deplorable conditions. And they're now no longer in the care of their mother and the father or baby daddy. Or maybe you knew more than what you said you knew. See, people don't think before speaking. You couldn't wait to talk to the news. But you sure didn't show your damn face. Because that was a stupid comment you made. Everybody don't live the same lifestyle. Yeah, I know they don't. If you see something, say something. You do not have to give your name. You can remain anonymous when you call Crime Stoppers, the police, DHS, FBI, Secret Service, State Police, Sheriff's Department. It's all the same. You speaking up may just save a life. Stop sitting around waiting. If you know that it's a deplorable situation, you don't need to wait on DHS. You don't need to file a complaint with DHS on that stupid ass hotline. Just call the damn police and say, hey, I know there's some kids in there starving and the house is nasty and rank and the parents have left them alone. That's enough to get DHS involved, because once the police goes to the house, he is going to, or she is going to directly, their superiors are going to call Department of Human Services. Stop waiting for somebody else to do right by the children. You do it. Because I'm sick of people running to the news, giving their fucking version of stuff that went on. And I get it. You can't make DHS act. You can't make them open a case. I get it. Because with this case in Florida, ding, 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 DHS has been there several times. So what I want to say to the fucking DHS office down there, you mean to tell me that the times you went to the house was clean? There was food in the refrigerator. There were no roaches in the refrigerator. The bathroom was clean. The living room was clean. Is that what you're telling me? That the times you went to check on the children, the house was clean? I don't believe it. And as I heard someone tell me last year, a social worker, we do not immediately remove children because the house is unclean. But there's a difference between dust, an untidy house, versus hoarded and a death trap. If there's no plumbing, no electric, it's roach infested, bed bugs, animals running amok, fecal matter, urine, you know damn well the children don't need to stay there. And also I heard that animals were also removed from this house. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. Mind the children. I want to thank you all for following this great network. Thank you for listening to that video that I uploaded to the YouTube queue pertaining to Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrandt, When I get an update pertaining to them, I believe this week, she will have a hearing, if I'm not mistaken, pertaining to the custody of the children. I will bring you an update. I still have more information to bring to you pertaining to Mr. Korberger and the family wanting cameras in the court. I have yet to bring you content on that. And I also want to play the 911 call pertaining to Ruby Frankie, the day that the call went into the dispatch pertaining to the child who escaped, the boy child. I need to bring you that content as well. And I also like to bring you content on this baffling story out of Florida pertaining to a 15-year-old deaf-mute girl who went to school with roaches in her backpack and filthy clothes. The school called law enforcement, and then they went to the house and found the deplorable conditions. And there's also other children that were living in the said house. I believe it was also a 16-year-old, 10-year-old, and an 8-year-old who are now in the state's custody. The parents are in custody, from my understanding. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie, 129, Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome to the live stream. Thank you for your time. My weekend suggestion is The Spinning Man. It's a very good movie I watched on the Roku channel today. Very interesting storyline of a college professor who likes to take up his time with younger girls. He's also married with children, and he's been accused, or let's just say a suspect in the disappearance of a young girl. Very good movie. The Spinning Man. It is on my community board. Please go to my community board for said polls and breaking news. I will put up a poll pertaining to the Idaho 4 after this live stream. God bless all of you. Have a wonderful weekend. I will be back later, possibly tomorrow, with an update pertaining to this case out of Florida, Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrandt. Korberger may also fit in Court TV's rendition pertaining to serial killers and the mindset and how they come to be. I'll try to fit it all in. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Hello, dear. You all have a wonderful weekend. Once again, The Spinning Man is my movie suggestion for this weekend. It's on the Roku channel. It is free. Once again, please be aware of your surroundings when you're out. Be careful what you post on social media. And if you know that a child is being abused, not treated well or right by their parents or guardians, please do the right thing and call 911 and or file a complaint on the DHS website. Thank you so much. You've been listening to the Vault Excel.